Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Hello, hello. Who's out there tonight? We got Steven. What's up? Good to see you. Harry from New Zealand. Elias, how are you, my friend? Excellent, excellent. Welcome, everybody. If you're new to these sessions, expand the description below the video and get the PDF with the tabs. We'll be going over some exercises tonight. Little beginner intermediate type stuff. What's up, Schultze? Nikki, good to see you. Peter, hello, hello. All right. Excellent, everybody. Jay, what's up? All right. Fringold Six Fingers. I like it. Craig. Danny from Arkansas. All right. Is here. Right on. Ron from Boston. Great to see you again, my friend. Excellent, excellent. All right, guitar workout. So it's just a collection of little exercises, some things to hopefully spur on a little bit of things maybe you didn't see before, or some things that you might want to add into your practice routine. Before you start, I think you should take a look at new tutorial at Guitar Tricks. New tutorial at Guitar Tricks, I think it's a bit off. I'm not sure which tutorial you're thinking about. Was it one that was just posted? Are we talking about the site, or what exactly should I be looking for? Which tutorial, Peter? All right. All right, get back to me on that one, and we're going to dive in tonight. Thanks, everybody, for joining. AC/DC song, The Easy Way. Oh, yes, You Shook Me All Night Long. Made Easy. Interesting. I didn't really watch it. I heard that it was being done, so I'll have to check it out. All right. Hopefully there's no mistakes in that, but I'll have a look for you, my friend. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. Jody1, what's up? Jim Gregory, good to see you. Rich, all right. Hello there. Zane, good to see you. All right, grab the PDF, expand the description. Extra chords in the verse. Interesting. Okay. I'll have to have a look at that and see. I'll get back to you on that one, okay? Kind of weird, huh? I don't know. I think like a made easy version has got to like be super stripped down, right? So I don't know why we'd be adding chords. Sophia is here. All right. Good to see you. Excellent, everybody. So let's get started with guitar workout. As always, we get started with the chromatic warm-up. This time we're doing eighth note triplet. So it's going to have a triplet feel to it. And you can kind of think of that triplet, 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 triplet. You're subdividing each sort of beat with 3 subdivisions, right? And so when using alternate picking, let's have a look at the first bar here. I'm starting around the 4th fret, low string, and going up chromatically. That means that I'm going to go up 1 fret at a time using 1 finger at a time, right? I use an index, middle, and ring. And then you can see the next group of 3 comes down 7, 6, 5 from the pinky, ring, and middle finger. Now, what you'll see is if you're using alternate picking, the first group of 3 is going to go down, up, down. And then the next group of 3, which is coming down the neck, is going to go up, down, up. Okay, but by the time we move to the next string and do the same thing, we start on a downstroke again. So it works out nicely to cross strings. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So down, up, down, up, down, up. And you can see the first 3 notes are ascending up the neck chromatically, and then the next set are coming down. Okay, so we have this sort of sequence that we're going to apply to each string. So hopefully you can hear that triplet, 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 triplet. All right, so just getting the fingers warmed up and starting with something that could be a little bit of a finger twister, but once you sort of get it down a little bit, you can build some speed into it and start going up and down the fretboard with it for a couple minutes. Igor, what's up from Mexico? Excellent. Peter, it's like a pop campfire song now. Well, the Made Easy, that's what's going to happen. You're going to put it on acoustic and reduce it down a little bit, and it might change the sound of the song a little bit. But there you go. You have the authentic version on Guitar Tricks if you so desire, right? What's up, Steve? Good to see you, my friend. Excellent, excellent. Okay. So as I just played, we're going up the strings with that sequence. Right? Going all the way up to the top. And then what happens is in bar 4 or bar 5, no, bar 4, or halfway through bar 3. No, it is the top of bar 4. We're going to move up 1 fret and then come down. So sort of reverse it. 8, 7, 6, and then 5, 6, 7. So we're sort of doing downwards twice and then coming up on the second set of 3. So coming down the strings, I'm going to be 1 fret up and go like this. All right. And the idea is, I mean, that's all I've tabbed for this exercise, but the idea is you want to keep going and move up to the next fret. Now we move up to the 6th fret and start again with the ascending sequence. Okay, so let's just keep this going. So that part's a little tricky. Speed it up a little bit. All right, that's the idea with that one. And you can start on the 1st fret if you like. I usually start these exercises on the 4th fret, just so that, you know, if you're new to the guitar and it's a little bit too stretchy here, it feels really hard on the fingers. If we move it up a little bit more into the middle of the neck, your fingers get a little bit tighter and it's a little bit easier, okay? But do this for a couple minutes. Focus on doing it as slow as you need to in order to be able to pull it off up and down without any mistakes, and work on your smoothness. And what it'll do is just burn in a nice solid timing and work on your picking technique and get your fingers moving, right? So the whole idea of this warm-up, right? Cool. All right. Kenneth, what's up? Steve, been working on Shook Me All Night Long. It's killer. Excellent. I love it. We were just talking about the Made Easy version that went on the site this week, which turned it into a campfire acoustic song. But if you need the rock, stay with the authentic version. Ron is saving all the PDFs and building a nice library of exercises. Excellent. That's the point. All right. So hopefully you can pull these things out and find something new to kind of just get under your fingers and work on a little bit. And by all means, once you sort of get these under your fingers, any of these exercises from my sessions on Fridays, you've got lots of tabs of these kind of things. Experiment with the ideas, okay? Try them on different strings, different keys, different fingers, different areas of the neck, okay? Really, there's a treasure trove of just expanding all these ideas and kind of making them your own, hopefully, okay? All right, exercise 2. Sort of a subject that I don't want to dive too much into, but I did bring it up, the circle of fifths, and this comes up a lot about, do I need to know the circle of fifths? What is the circle of fifths? And so I came up with an exercise that sort of illustrates a few things that I feel are important to sort of connect with the circle of fifths on the guitar, okay? Because the circle of fifths is really a musical theory concept, which you can apply to all instruments. But there's a few things specific to the guitar neck that I think are really useful when you're thinking of the idea of the circle of fifths. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Steve missed Dave's Thursday class. He's going to fire me. Uh-oh. Look out. Dave's doing a cool session on vibrato and bending, I believe. He's doing a series on that, right? So cool. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words. All right. So circle of fifths. What are the circle of fifths? The circle of fifths are basically just thinking about, and it's hard to tell from the tabs because what I've done is sort of relayed that information onto the fretboard. But the idea of the circle of fifths is that it is a clock, a circle, okay? And at the 12 o'clock position is the key of C. And as you go clockwise around the circle in fifths, so for example, and I go a fifth up from C, and you get G. G is the fifth of C. So you go from the key of C to the key of G, and you keep going around the circle. And as you go around the circle, you're adding one sharp into each key signature, okay? And what I mean by that is that the key of C has no sharps and flats, but the key of G has one sharp, right? It's the F sharp, the major seventh, right before getting to the root. And if we go from a fifth away from the G, we end up on D. And if we play the D major scale, you'll find that there's two sharps in the D major scale. So you can see what happens as you go clockwise around that. And eventually, you're going to go through all the keys and end up back at C. So the way that this maps out on the guitar is pretty cool because it works out pretty evenly. And so I'm not going to start on C. I probably should have started on C, but I'm actually going to start down here on a B flat chord. Okay, so this is my bar chord shaped root 5. So I got the first fret of the A string, barring down on the third fret of the D, G, and B string. Okay, and I'm not worrying about the top string. I always sort of recommend that if you're playing a root 5 major bar chord shape, which is what this is, don't worry so much about the high string. If you can make it happen, and you know that's after years of just bending the finger at will to try and get that high note pop out on the first fret, go for it. Of course, you can always make this shape with individual fingers on the D, G, and B string and bar down on the first fret, and then you can get like that. I usually grab these with the pinky, but you can also use the ring finger too, right? It's good to sort of get used to flattening down with both fingers there. From there, we are going to the F chord. Now, what you want to realize on the guitar is that if there's two sort of ways to think about getting to a fifth, okay? The first way, and this only works from the A string or the fifth string all the way up, is that you can come down on the same fret to the string below, and that will give you the fifth. Okay, that'll give you the fifth. So B flat going to F. F is your fifth in the B flat major scale, right? So I can go to an F chord, and that root is just on the same fret, next string below. All right, so that's the first thing to realize. I'm going from B flat to the fifth of B flat, which is F. And we can think about this as, you know, the relationship of the circle of fifths are key signatures, or they're keys, major keys, right? And but what I'm also thinking about is the one chord in those keys, okay, to think about this, which would just have the root note, whatever major chord is attached to the root note. So that's the first thing you always want to keep in mind, is that if you're on a chord and you want to get to the fifth of that chord, you just go move the root note down one string and grab whatever the corresponding chord would be to make a major chord. In this case, you've got a root 5 bar chord going to a root 6 bar chord, right? So now, from the F, if I go up the F major scale, the fifth is C. So now I'm moving up 2 frets and grabbing a root 5 for C major right here, right? And then Whoops. The fifth of C is G, so going from C to G. And so now I've lined up to the top of the circle, right? So here's C, there's G. Now from G, D, and then down one fret, A. So you can see what the pattern is here, and you can see it on the tab, is that I'm going root 5, root 6, up 2 frets, root 5, root 6. And when I'm talking about root 5 and root 6, all I'm meaning is that the root note is on this string. And Ron, you nailed it. Absolutely. In the Guitar Fundamentals course, in Guitar Tricks, we talk about the magic L, okay? And so that's a really fast way to think of it too. Like when I go from F, okay, it's just that L shape, okay? So the exercise comes through like this. I'm going to go through all of the 1 chords from each key, starting on B flat, and end up on B flat an octave up, and it works out quite nicely. Okay, so that's what the exercise is. Now, at the very least, this exercise is a great bar chord exercise, right? If you're new to bar chords, if you're trying to practice just getting smooth on your chord changes, particularly with bar chords, then this is a great exercise. Why not use the circle of fifths to just go all the way up the neck? And what I've done are just simple strums, right? Quarter notes, or sorry, eighth notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? So you could easily set a drum groove, set a metronome, go as slow as you need to, and just work on making those chord changes. At the very least, this is a great chord workout, okay? But at the very most, also, it just reinforces where those fifths are, right? Okay, so this really comes in handy if, you know, maybe you're working on writing a song or doing something like that. And, you know, one of the biggest sort of tools you have in the songwriting canvas as a songwriter is this 5-to-1 resolve, they call it, or a 5-to-1 motion, where the 5 chord always wants to lead you back to the 1 chord. And so this is a device that can connect it to the guitar so that it's really easy to like sort of find, oh, okay, I'm on a 5 chord. So you almost go in reverse, right? Like, oh, I'm on a D chord. So the 5 chord, so if that's the 5, then the 1 chord is going to be back on this G chord, right? So you can always use these devices to sort of help with your chord progressions a little bit. And in fact, this is another tool that helps you modulate keys as well. Say I'm in the key of C, all right? And let's see, I want to, you know, I've got like C, all the chords with me from C major, but I want to make a modulation to the B flat chord, which takes me out of the key of C. Well, one way to do it is to find out what the 5 chord of the B flat chord would be. And that's your F chord. And that's actually the 4 chord in the key of C. So you can simply from the F chord, modulated key, which would be B flat, right? So that is very pleasing because you've done it from a 5 chord of the next key or the 4 chord of the first key. All right? Clear as mud, right? I'm just sort of throwing these things out there just to, you know, sort of tickle the brain a little bit and let you know sort of what people use this kind of stuff for. All right? Great, great. Any questions? Let me know. All right. Exercise 3. Another bar chord strum exercise. And in this one, I wanted to show, thanks, Jim. Appreciate that. You hung with me. I like it. Bar chords where I'm just going to use the top 4 notes of a root 5 bar chord. If I do that, it turns out that I still have a root note on the 4th string here. So this is a G major chord, 5th fret of the 4th string, 4th fret of the G string or 3rd string, and then you bar down 3rd fret of the top 2 strings, okay? So instead of playing this fuller chord, why it might be advantageous to just play the top 4 notes of this chord is that it opens up the pinky. Now I have the pinky to be able to embellish this chord. And in this exercise, what I do is I change it into a sus4 chord. So the strumming pattern goes like this. Okay? So I've got a G major chord, and when I add the pinky to the 5th fret of the G string onto the chord, you hear it go all floaty there. That's the sound of the sus4. I'm replacing the 3rd of the chord, which is B, with a C note, which is the 4 in the G major scale, right? So it's a sus4. We call that a suspended 4 chord, or sus4. Okay? So strumming pattern's a little bit more challenging now because we're going into sort of 16th note subdivisions, as you can see, right? So I'm starting with a downstroke and then a second downstroke on the beat, and then right before the next downstroke, just an upstroke. And then it's going to be a down, up, where the downs are on the sus4 and the ups are back to the major chord. So, and then one more downstroke after that. That's the strumming pattern. So. Okay. So once again, at the very least, this is a great chord embellishment type exercise with a little bit of a different strum to it, right? So we always want to keep this. Do you see how when I'm trying to get this strum under my strum hand, right? The timing really comes from trying to keep this going. Keep it nice and relaxed and try to keep it going. You know, I talk about this every week, right? Try your best to do that, and you will stay in time better and have a more relaxed, grooving feel, okay? So yes, we were talking about the 4ths, right? So if you go in the opposite direction, okay? So I could go, but then it doesn't work out kind of coming up the neck. You have to come back down the neck. So, okay? I would start here, right? C chord, and then the 4th is F, and then the 4th of F is B flat, right? Okay? Yeah, you go in the opposite direction for the 4ths, okay? Excellent, good. Thanks for jumping in, everybody. Peter and Ron had it. Okay. Am I muting the lowest 2 strings in that strum? Yes. So good question. How am I doing that? What I can do is simply just aim for trying to strum those strings only. That's the first thing we can do, right? So, okay. So I'm watching my strum to make sure that I'm just doing those. That's the first thing we can kind of train our hand to do, right? We might have to look at that for a little while before we kind of get used to it without looking. Okay. Next thing is that if I accidentally bump those, you're absolutely right. You want to have those low strings muted. So what I usually do is with the 4th string, I've got the ring finger, right? And I'm putting it on the fret, and I'm also making sure that there's a little bit of flesh just butting up against that A string. Okay. So that if I accidentally hit that A string, it's not going to ring out, right? Like if I had it, my ring finger totally curled on that. Is everybody still with me? Jody won. Spinning wheel, that's no good. I think nothing has happened on my end that lets me know that that's the case. So hopefully, are we still good, everybody? Let me know we're still out there. I'm just going to keep going. Okay, if you curl the finger too much and you don't touch that A string, then if you bump the A string, it'll ring out, right? So, cool. All right, Jody 1's back. Okay, but if you press a little bit of flesh up against that, right? Okay, it won't ring out. And then usually what I'll do is just sort of rest the thumb over top the low string. Okay. All right. So maybe we went out for a little bit. Fringold Six Fingers, what's up? Thank you. Everything's good. Okay. So just to reiterate, you can press the top of this finger and just touch the A string. Okay. And then also grab the low string with the low string. I guess we're having problems tonight, aren't we? Oh my goodness. I'm getting some bad emojis. Is everybody back with me? Oh no. It says on my end I'm still going. Back. All right, hopefully these problems are short. Oh no. Everybody's sort of getting circles and whatnot. Let me see if I can track it down. All good regardless. Okay, it's cutting out on occasion. I apologize for that. Hopefully, it's really weird because usually it tells me when there's something going on my end, and it's not doing that. But hopefully it's okay from here on in. All right. All right. So we were on the G, just the top four notes of the full G major. Okay. Then we go to the C chord. And let's see how it works on the root 5. And at this point, I'm just going 3rd fret of the A string or 5th string, barring down to the 5th fret of the D, G, and B. Okay. And now I'm using my pinky on the 6th fret of the B string to add that sus. All right, so you got a cool little exercise here. So a little bit more of an involved strum, going from a G chord to a C chord and hearing the sound of that sus4, okay? And so that's a tough one, Ron. That's right. So we want to try and get that going there, where you're barring down with the ring finger and then adding that pinky on and off. Okay, so this is a great exercise right here. Even just on the bar chord shapes a little bit, you got to strengthen that pinky a little bit. All right, that's a good one. Okay, moving on, exercise 4, some triads. Let me play through this first. I'll talk about it a little bit. Kind of fret the first couple. If not, no biggie. We can pick it up coming down the neck on this. That's the exercise, okay? So what we have here is a simple, relatively speaking, A minor, G, F, and then F, G, and then back to A minor, sort of progression, right? And I started up here. Now, first of all, let's just do this with open chords, right? So right, Duke is here from Missouri. All right, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you made it, my friend. But what I'm trying to show off are some triad shapes on the A, D, and G string. Okay, so this is a different set of strings. It's actually a little bit less common to use these shapes on these strings, but it's really useful to at least be exposed to them, know that they're there. And so we're going to have all these different major and minor shapes just on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd string. So if I come up here to the 15th fret of the 5th string and bar down on the 14th fret of the D and G, that gives me an A minor triad, right? I've got a C, E, A. So the root note is actually on the top. So this is like a first inversion minor triad shape because the minor third, the C note is on the bottom. Okay? Now when I move down, I've also got a first inversion major triad this time, B, D, G. This is a G major triad with the B as the root, which is a first inversion. And then that same shape down to the 12th, 10th, 10th. Okay, that one was 14, 12, 12. This is now 12, 10, 10. Same shape. Now we're down 2 frets from G, which is F. So, and I'm just making it kind of into a little bit of a riff, right? Like a simple C, A minor, G, F, and then a little slide, and then one more strum just for a little bit of punctuation there, right? A little bit, and now I'm going to grab another. Now I've got an A with my pinky, 12th fret of the A string. The C is the 10th fret of the D, and the E is the 9th fret of the G. This is another triad shape. This time it's got the root in the bass, so it's just a straight minor triad shape. And when I come down 2 frets, now I've got the pinky on the G, which is the root, but I've got to get the index finger on the 9th fret of the D, and then index finger on the 7th fret of the G. That's your major. Okay, so your minor, major. And then, of course, 2 more frets down, you've got F. And so that riff is, right? So you've gone through another set of triad shapes. And now the final set. And these come from the full root 6 bar chord shapes, but just the A, D, and G strings. Okay? So a little more of a compact way to play these. So these ones are called second inversions because the 5th is on the bottom. I've got the E, then I've got the root in the middle, and I've got the minor third on the G string. Okay, so 7, 7, 5. Okay, then we've got 5, 5, and 4 on the A, D, and G. Same shape down 2 frets. So, and then end it off with that same shape up the string set, and that's your minor shape, open A minor, right? So once again, an exercise, a riff, but really just exposing you to major and minor shapes using triad shapes using the A, D, and G string set. Okay, so. Cool. All right. Got to get the triads in there, right? A little bit of triad exercise. Coming up with a blues lick now. What's up, Ray? Okay. So I've got a lick here that I'm playing in 2 different positions. One of them, the second one is the open position, but first one is fretted, and this is a sort of on the simple side of a little bit of a bluesy lick that ends in a chord. That's the sound of it. Okay, so what do we got going? We've got two sets of triplets, as you can see on the tab, right? We're on exercise 5A. That's bar 20, okay? Whoop. First group of three, I'm just barring down on the D and G string, 9th fret. And doing G string, D string, sorry, that's a B note, and then grabbing the D note, 7th fret of the G string. That's the first triplet. Next one. Now this one involves a quick little slide because you're on the 9th fret of the D string, and you can see that little slide symbol coming in to the 7th fret of the D string. So, and then you pull off to the 5th fret. So that's a really useful, it's kind of tricky at first, but it's a really useful, common move, landing on the E note, 7th fret of the A string. So, and at the end, we're going to fret an E7 sharp 9 chord, which is also known as the Hendrix chord. I've got the open low string added to it because that's an E note, but I've also got the root here, 7th fret, another E note, 6th fret of the D, 7th fret of the G, and then your pinky on the 8th fret of the B string. E7 sharp 9, okay? Cool bluesy sounding chords. So putting that lick together, that's what we're going for on that one, okay? Now, a little bit of the details here. My middle finger on that E note, 7th fret of the A, and grab the chord shape after that. So that's what I'm aiming for. You see that? When I go to that E note, 7th fret of the A string, I'm using my middle finger so that I can get to the chord. Easy. These are the kind of things you want to think about that make things flow nicely, right? Cool, so let's have a look at this in a different position, different string set, open position, really, because we're going to be pulling off to the open G string. So first triplet is 5 on the B string to 4 on the G, back to 3 on the B string. Okay, one more time. Now this time you're using different fingers here, right? Like we were barring down and using the same 2 fingers there, just using the index and the ring. But here we're using index, ring, and then the middle finger here. So this is a good workout just to work on this slide and pull off with a different finger, okay? Because we also want to have that skill, as many fingers as possible, sort of practice that stuff, right? So that's another quick slide, this time from 4 to 2, like really quick on the G, and then pulling off to the open G string. And then you want to end with the middle finger once again on the E note, 2nd fret of the G. And look, we've got, it's a slightly different chord shape, but it's the E7 sharp 9 right here. E, major 3rd right there, index finger 1st fret of G, and then bar down with your pinky the D and the G note, 3rd fret of the top 2 strings. Okay, so cool. So cool little lick right there. 2 separate positions working different fingers, right? And obviously kind of a bluesy rock staple right there. All right, wanted to show you something here, exercise 6. With power chords and thinking about them in different shapes to outline chords in a different way. Okay, so I have this simple chord progression. If you look in 6A, and I'm just using power chords, I've got E, C, D, E. So those of you who are just new to the guitar, power chords aren't major or minor, they're just root 5th, okay? And they're used all the time in all genres, most genres, probably not so much in jazz, but certainly blues, rock, pop, all of that kind of stuff, country. And so this common shape is, if I'm talking about an E power chord, I'm going to have the 7th fret of the A string, 9th fret of the D string. Now, these two notes are all I need to make a power chord, but commonly what happens is we add the pinky into the higher octave of the root note, thicker, right? This is bar 22, exercise 6A. I'm going, okay? Very simple, not even thinking really about the strum. It's just more about what I'm going to do in the second part of this, which is 6B, is to not change positions and outline those shapes. So a very simple thing you can do if you're going to say, okay, so backing up a little bit, if I'm going from an E chord, which in this case would be the 1 chord, and it would probably be E minor if I was to flush it out, but I'm just playing it with power chords, okay? The C, in the key of E minor, the C chord is a flat 6 chord. The D chord is a flat 7 chord. That's the way we think of those, okay? Now, if I wanted to go from E to C, or the flat 6 chord in any key using a power chord shape, if you just sort of flip your fingers and just move up one note, here I'm moving the B to the C note, 9th fret to the 10th fret of the D, but I still have the E octave notes, 7th and 9th fret of the A and G strings. Okay, so you're going from that actually outlines a C major. Okay? So what you could do, instead of just moving down and doing the power chord, you can do this and stay in the same position. Just move one note. Okay? All right? So now notice that this isn't like a full C major chord. Okay? It's still only got 2 notes in it. It's got an E and a C note. But when you think about that, this is just an inversion of the C and E, like the root and major third of a C major chord. So it works particularly well if you're playing with a backing track or playing with a bass player or playing with other instruments, where you're sort of just inferring a C major with a couple of the notes. Okay? Now, to take it one step further and look at the D chord, I don't have to move positions and just play an inversion once again in the 7th position, but now I've got the 9th fret of the A barring down at the 7th fret of the D and G. Okay? So this is a D major triad, okay? First inversion, because it's got the major third on the bottom. So now I can play this chord progression in one position in exercise CB like this, or 6B like this. Okay? Just an alternate way to do it. Now it sounds, I mean, that might not be what you're going for, right? Like if you're going to write this riff, you might want the power and the directness of, okay? Because that has a certain sound to it. But if you're looking for something a little bit different, maybe this floats it. Has a totally different sort of thing about it, but you're hitting the same chord progression, right? Makes sense? We hanging in there. All right, a couple more to go. Hit me with questions if you have any. We're going to talk a little bit about hybrid picking. So what is hybrid picking? This is a very simple exercise here for just working on getting used to incorporating, holding a pick, but also getting your other fingers involved. And this is a simple exercise. I'm just getting one more finger involved, okay? So what I'm doing is I've chosen the key of C and I'm using double stops, arpeggiating double stops coming down the neck. So I'm starting 13th fret of the B string and 12th fret of the high string. Okay, and that sort of comes from a C chord, okay? So I'm starting on a C major. I'm going to use notes from C major just coming down in harmonized pairs down the B and E string. Now let me play the exercise and we'll break it down a little bit. Okay? So what's going on here? We're picking on the B string with the pick and then plucking with the middle finger. You could use your ring finger if you'd like. I use the middle finger. It's going to be the most strong one, okay? But once you get into hybrid picking, you're going to start to incorporate all three, hopefully, or at least two or more, right? This is a very simple exercise just to get the middle finger going, which you'd be surprised how versatile that makes doing some hybrid picking, okay? So sliding into 13, picking it on the B string, and a middle finger pluck on the high string, in this case, the 12th fret. We just go back and forth, and we're going to move those shapes down the neck. And at the very end, I'm going to do the pick and the pluck at the same time to end off on the upper part of a C major open chord, right? So I think this is a really useful exercise where messed it up. Wouldn't be a complete guitar workout if I didn't mess up a bunch of stuff, but there you go. Okay, so hopefully you get the idea of that exercise. 7B, we're just going to change the string set. I'm still using notes from C major, okay, but these are going to be in sixths, okay? So got the 12th fret on the G string, 12th fret on the high string, and again, it's the same thing, but now you're spread apart a little bit. You've got your pick on the G string, and you're plucking the high string. All right, and of course, you can extrapolate this approach, right? Do it on all string sets, different keys, different shapes, right? This is just sort of a springboard, or really sort of, you know, let's try this and see what you know, if we can incorporate this into our technique. It's super useful. And once you kind of get that going, you'll find you start using it without even thinking about it in a lot of different applications. And it's pretty cool. It's definitely a versatile, it's a different sound, but it's pretty cool. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate you jumping on. As always, have a great one. Ron, does a heavier or lighter pick work best for hybrid? It's personal choice. I'm using a thicker pick. I usually a thinner pick that I might use on the acoustic. No problem. Right? Okay, that sounds good too, right? So it's just about the sound you're going for, right? This is a little bit, a thinner pick will have a softer sound to it, and a thicker pick might have a little bit of an aggressive sound. But also keep in mind that you can play around with how hard you're picking the note and how hard you're plucking too, right? Like I can be very dynamic with both of those things, right? And, you know, if you start really plucking with that, you get into the country territory where you can be a little more chicken picking, right? Like that kind of thing, right? Where you're really getting aggressive with the pluck and it starts to sound a little like chicken picking, but it doesn't always have to, right? Right? Just go. And play around with this technique, right? There's a... Cool. All right. Hopefully. All right. So yeah, dead or alive intro, right? Like I'm pretty sure that you can use the pick on that, but sounds really nice hybrid pick. You can totally do that, right? All right, so last exercise of the night, and we might have a few minutes for questions. If you got any questions, lay it on me. This is a little, I usually finish off these workouts with some sort of tricky lick kind of idea with getting your technique together with some, and this is no exception, with some hammer-ons, pull-offs, and okay? And I'm doing this in group. It's kind of a weird lick that way a little. And so what I'm doing is picking just once, 5th fret of the high string. I'm going to stay on the high string this whole way. 5, 7, 8, 7, 5. So you're hammering on to 8 and then pulling off. Okay? Now what happens is when I pull off to the first note, coming back down, I want to slide up to the next note in the scale. I'm using A minor here, right? Those are the notes I'm going for on the top string, okay? So now when I've slid up to the next one, I've now got another group of 3 notes that I'm going to go up and down with the hammer-ons and pull-offs. 7, 8, 10, 8, 7. So let's look at this. Okay? Now notice I only picked the first note. And in fact, this entire exercise, add a little bit of, okay? Now it's a little bit of speed, right? Oh, I think we lost it. We're back. Is anyone, we still here? Are we still here? I think it cut me off. Dang it. Anyone else here? Okay, we're still here. Oh, man. It told me this time. It told me I've got some problems. I really got to work out this Xfinity deal here. Not impressed. Man, that's horrible. Okay. Appreciate you hanging in there. I'm sorry for all the technical difficulties here tonight. Yes, the internet did a pull off. All right. So what we were going for here, I'm going to like kind of put it together and then talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so you can add a little bit of okay, so I'm doing that and I'm just picking the first note. Okay. Thank you, Arthur. Yeah. Oh, it's just I don't know why I'm getting I'm paying for, you know, I don't want to get into it. Sorry. I'm supposed to have fast internet, but I've got all sorts of problems. Anyway. That's what we're going for. So you can see groups of 5 going up the A minor scale and then a slide. So it's hammer-ons, pull-offs, slide. Hammer-ons, pull-offs, slide to the next note. That's the idea with this one. Okay, so working on hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, and this is a great one. Even if you don't have all that distortion, you still can work on it. You know, like just on a. Okay. Now, if you wanted to, you could pick after every group of 5, right? Okay. So there you have it. Another exercise for you to, if you're so inclined, not for the weak of heart, but definitely great for finger strength. Okay. Obviously dexterity and just working. This is basically an example of playing where there's very little picking and it's all neck. Make sense? Where are we at? I apologize so much for the horrible internet experience tonight. I have to do something about this. I feel like it was good there for a while. I was having problems with my old router, but I thought those problems were gone when I replaced it, but man. What's up, James? How's it going? Cool. All right, so that's it. So guitar workouts. Gonna do another rhythm workshop next week, rhythm style workshop. Got some more cool examples and ideas for you that we'll go over next Friday, hopefully without the internet problems. All right. Kenneth's still here. Danny's still here. All right. Hopefully it's still working. Any questions? What rig am I playing through? Oh, nice. James, excellent. Yeah, so I use I don't know if you can really see it here. It's the Fractal Axe FX 3. Okay. And I have it rigged up so that it comes through my podcasting microphone here for the streaming. And I can also hear it. Back here, I've got this Headrush FR cabinet. It's like a monitor. I love the Fractal stuff. Axe FX 3. Their deluxe setting. So there you go. Right on, Jim Gregory. Excellent. Thank you, Erica. I appreciate that. Ron, how many guitarists does it take to play Stairway to Heaven? Something about 1 and then 20 drummers to tell you, or no, 21 to play it, 19 to tell you they can do it better. All of them. Apparently all of them. There you go. I like it. Douglas, thank you. Danny, thank you. Nikki, thanks. Mark, thank you. Thank you. Mark was learning diatonic. Isn't the same as combining the second and third pentatonic positions. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking with that, Mark. I was learning diatonic. Isn't it the same as combining the second and third pentatonic positions? All diatonic means is that you're just staying in one scale, I believe. Okay, but you can play that same scale all over the neck, right? In all sorts of different positions. Hopefully that gives you some sort of clarity on that. You can give me a little more detail. That'd be great. Duke 49. Thank you, sir. Steve O, thank you. Douglas, thank you. Jam on, everybody. Indeed. Harry, thank you. Steve, thanks for hanging in. I really appreciate everybody hanging in with all the problems. Arthur, what is your favorite string type and gauge? I just used D'Addario 10 through 46 for electrics. Is sort of what I gotten used to over the years. And D'Addarios, I've never switched from D'Addarios like ever. I always feel like they're really solid, and I'm happy with them. So, but lots of choices out there, right? Just keep trying. Mark, D major diatonic. Well, diatonic just means G major. Okay, so G major pentatonic. There's 5. If you're talking about positions, there's 5 patterns, positional patterns. But there's lots of ways to play pentatonic scales, 3 notes per string, all sorts of stuff. And you would just be staying with the notes of G major pentatonic, right? Which are G, A, B, D, E. Okay? So there's really just 5 notes there. G, A, B, D, E. There you go. So you can learn those patterns all over the neck. Right? Schultze, great show. Keep up the great work. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Steve O, thanks for the kudos on the working man. Oh, man, I had to work so hard on that one. I was worried I was not going to get that, but I think I came pretty close, hopefully. It was a great feeling of accomplishment to finally get that one down, but that was a big one. Nikki's never switched from Ernie Ball. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. All good. Whatever works for you is all good. Alonzo, I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Buddy, thank you, sir. Mark, okay. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you Friday, same time, hopefully without the internet problems. All right, everybody, take care. Cheers.